Hello guys, welcome back to John's Workshop, and in this video we're going to be straying away from the flame licker engine build just for one episode, and we're going to be concentrating on making a back plate or an adapter plate to go between a 4-jaw chuck and both my rotary tables is the plan. Still to measure everything up, so it could end up just being a single rotary table that this fits, but I'm going to try and make it fit both. So I've drawn a bit of a sketch there to give you some idea. And largely I've purchased a very high quality independent 4-jaw chuck offline, and that is Merry, so second only to Pratt & Bernard. And I've also purchased a 5-inch diameter or 125mm diameter slug of mild steel, about an inch thick, 25mm thick, and that will be the back plate for the chuck, hopefully. So what I'm going to try and do is, rather than make a bung on that's fixed to the back plate that drops into the centre of the rotary table, what I want is the ability to be able to move this whole thing off centre of the rotary table at times. So I'm going to create it with a flat base at the back, put a fine limit through bore through the centre, and then I'm going to make 2 separate bungs up, one for the small rotary table, one for the large rotary table, so that I can always use the bung, drop it in on centre, and at least I can line it up quickly on centre that way. Took some puzzling over the chuck, you know, do I go 3-jaw, do I go 4-jaw? Largely anything you can grip in a 3-jaw, you can grip in a 4-jaw, with the exception of hex. But for most jobs, a 4-jaw will grip what a 3-jaw does, but a 4-jaw gives you the option of being able to throw things off centre, so a little bit more versatile. And yes, it's going to mean slightly longer setups each time I need to use it, but I've traded that for the versatility of the independent 4-jaw chuck. Now what I may do at some point is buy another very high quality Merry 3-jaw chuck at the same diameter and make that to fit the same back plate, so I've got options then, 3-jaw or 4-jaw. But we're starting with the 4-jaw. So I'll bring you back in a moment at the lathe when we start getting set up to take the first cuts and start turning up this back plate. Right guys, we've just spun that round in the chuck, and as you can see the depth of my jaws is too deep for this thin section part really to do in 2 setups. I always knew that was going to be the case in these jaws. If I had soft jaws that would be ideal. I'd just bore my soft jaws out to the right depth. Don't have any soft jaws, so I've stuck with these. So basically I'm using a parallel, a bit like a slip gauge, and I've gone down each of the jaws and I've just got a nice feel on the parallel on all 3 jaws, just gently using a copper mallet just to tap this front edge as you're tightening the chuck up against the parallel, just gently getting the feel the same. So that's as good as that's going to get for this setup, and we'll double check it on the surface plate when we're done, but I'm pretty sure that'll be there or thereabouts. And my fallback position on this is if I need to true this up to get it really parallel, I'm just going to throw it on the surface grinder when I'm done and grind the 3 or 4 tenths out if there is a bit of a run out over the part. So that's how I'm going to do it. Now I'm going to be tight up against the jaws trying to turn this. I might have to move it out of the jaws just to clean the very transition up. I'm really not bothered about the OD. I want to take the minimum off possible. The OD is completely unimportant on this, so I'll just make that look nice when I'm done, but it's important for the rest of the manufacture here to get it parallel to this back face. So that's the setup we're using. So I'll bring you back when we start turning this front end up. Right guys, this design's kind of maturing as I'm going, so I've just turned that back round to the chuck. The front side's finished, my central bore's finished, and what I'm now going to do is counterbore this back side for a stepped bung that I'm going to be making, so that I can then use this to fit both rotary tables. Fortunately, my little band that I've got here on the OD that didn't quite clean up is sitting just in the groove of one of the jaws, so it's not affecting the location at the minute. And then what I shall do is, when I make the first bung, I need to turn a diameter that will fit up inside this bore anyway, and we'll use that as a mandrel. Once I've turned that front end diameter, we're going to use that as a mandrel. We'll drill and tap the end of it, which I'm going to do anyway, so that I can use that for a clamping piece, and we will put this onto the mandrel and we'll just give this OD a quick skim on the mandrel, just a light cut. That's the plan anyway. So next thing is to counterbore this out to about 42mm diameter. Right, we've got a piece of EM1A in the chuck. This is going to make our two bungs. So we're just going to face this off for a start, centre drill it and put a revolving centre in, and then we'll start. We're sticking out. It'd probably be okay without the revolving centre, but I'm going to be plunging in with the parting with the grooving tool, so we'll give it a bit of support, and then we'll be drilling, tapping a hole at the front end and parting our first bung off, and then moving down for the second one, hopefully, if there's enough stock. Alright guys, I've set I need the same diameter as I've got on the front on the back side, but I need to leave a band in the middle at this OD. So I've set my parting tool onto the diameter here. I've zeroed my cross slide out, I've zeroed my compound slide out, and I'm basically going to plunge in 4 widths of the parting tool to get my length, and plunging in to the diameter on my cross slide plus a little bit of material, and then we'll try and turn that back side with the parting blade. We'll see how we get on. Should be good enough, I think. We'll give it a try. There we go guys, that's got our first bung made for the small rotary table. Just need to clean that back face up, put a chamfer on, which I'll do off camera, nothing special. And I'll make the other bung for the large rotary table in exactly the same way, and then we'll go and trial fit them. Right then guys, I'm just trying to figure out what the PCD of holes is in my high quality, second only to Pratt & Bernard Merry independent 4-jaw chuck that I bought from our Asian cousins. So I'm doing a bit of measuring, and I thought, well, I'm struggling with this a bit, so what I'll do is I'll get the specification booklet out. So I've got the book that came with it, and we've flipped through that. So firstly, to fill me with confidence, I went to the back page, and you can see there that fortunately the director of the company has signed this off as being good, and the chief of quality control department has also signed this off, which is good, as well as an inspector, and on a date when it was all done. So that, I'm really confident that's had a really thorough check. So I went to the actual technical detail, where it tells me that for my 100mm chuck or 4-inch chuck, which is what I've got here, for a start, the D1 diameter, which is the location diameter in the back here, is 75mm. So I thought, well, I don't remember making it to 75 when I made my back plate, so we'll just check that and see what it actually is again. It's actually 72, so they're 3mm off, but maybe the director and the chief of quality were having a bad day. So I then went to have a look at the pattern of holes, and it appears that 2 holes are put in on one PCD and the other 2 holes are put in on a completely different PCD, about 1mm different. So that's really good. So what I conclude from that is, thank God they don't make aeroplanes yet. So what we're going to do next is try and figure out what these 2 PCDs are, and bastardise my backplate to fit this high quality item. Right then guys, big fit up. So we've chemically blacked our bits, and we've cleaned everything up, given it a light oil. So we drop our bung in. Next job is the chuck itself. So we'll just drop the 4 cap screws in. And what I did on this was made the PCD, I halved the 2 different PCDs that our friends had put in the back of the chuck, and made the holes big enough so that this can go on in any of the 4 positions, rather than trying to make the plate bespoke to fit the bespoke high quality chuck manufacturer. That goes together nicely. And as we know, this already fits because we've tested it onto the bung, and we've got our 4 holes in there that will fit our T-nuts. So I just need to make some new clamp screws, or get some new clamp screws the right length, which I've not done yet, but largely that's it. So that's got our 4-jaw chuck back plate for this rotary table, and I've also, the other bung I've still to make for the large rotary table, and I'll do that as and when I need it. So, but this is the rotary table I'm going to need for the upcoming jobs I've got, so that's all ready to go now. Just got to say, get the 4 screws in. So happy with that. That's a decent job. I'm going to do some checks on the chuck itself, just to see parallelism and see how well the jaws, you know, bearing in mind our chief of quality and our quality manager and every other quality guy, as well as the director, had passed this chuck off and managed to get 3mm off where it should be. I do have some slight concerns about how good this is going to be. So worst case scenario, we load all this whole thing up in the chuck of the lathe, and I set up a tool post grinder and we grind this thing in to make it decent. But we'll do some checks on it and see what it looks like. So I'll just bring you back and we'll wrap this episode up. Well, there we go then guys, that's the end of another little project done, and I'm pleased with that. That's turned out well, and that gives me some capability now for some of the upcoming parts I've got to do on the flame liquor engine, so that's good. So thank you all very much for watching, thank you for subscribing, thank you to the new subscribers that have come along, and we'll catch you all very soon on another video when we'll be making something else.